So people often come up to me asking, hey, Victor, what are actually the requirements that we need to have on board in order to properly implement a paid social marketing structure? And most likely they're not talking about tools or general kind of best practices when it comes to scaling, rather than they want to know how to implement a proper team and what skills are required in order to build that team, right? And my most common response to that is build a data-driven creative team, right? And I wanted to reveal a structure of a data-driven creative team in this video for you guys. We are going to talk about the different roles in this data-driven creative team, as well as the different goals, and we're going to take a look at the workflow of one of those data-driven creative teams. So without any further ado, let's hop straight into it. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this channel where we talk about the most common and recent tips and tricks to implement within your ad account to grow your e-commerce brand profitably to the next level. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Victor and I am the founder of Victory Media, a boutique Facebook marketing agency that exclusively works with D2C e-commerce brands to help them scale their business to the next level with things like paid social and Facebook ads. So enough about me. Let's talk about today's video, because in today's video I wanted to talk about the data-driven creative team. I think it is no secret that over the last couple of years, paid social and winning at your paid social game has become increasingly more difficult, right? Things like iOS 14.5 challenges, rising CPMs, as well as a more conscious consumer are just to name a few couple of challenges that have made the life a lot more difficult for growth marketers and Facebook ad buyers. However, given those challenges, I think it's a perfect opportunity to actually implement a data-driven creative team for everybody and any brand out there that actually takes their paid social new customer acquisition seriously. So for the better part of the last 2 minutes, I've been talking about the data-driven creative team, but you probably don't even really know what I'm talking about. So before we dive into that video a lot deeper and talk about the workflows, let's talk about what this data-driven creative team actually consists of. So long story short, a data-driven creative team has no other objective than aligning creative strategy, production, and post-production with our media buying efforts in order to provide a consistent, pipeline of new and iterative tests to launch, and just generally kind of consistently test and iterate to improve performance within our ad account and grow our brand profitably. And essentially, the data-driven creative team consists of 3 roles, which is first the media buyer, which is in itself the role most Facebook ad buyers have had in the past, the people that launch the campaigns, launch the ad sets, and the different ad creators within those ad sets. So that is the first role, the media buyer. The second role is the production team, right? This can range anywhere from a graphic or motion designer that is on your team that is actually editing your brand assets and putting them together in order to have a proper ad, to kind of a production agency that shoots some photo shoot for you, to you hiring an influencer agency or reaching out to UGC content creators personally in order to shoot and produce more assets. So that is the second role, having a production role. And the third role, which in my opinion is the best and most favorite one for me personally, and that is the creative strategist, right? Which kind of connects the dots of taking the raw data from the tests that were launched by the media buying person or team, and kind of translates that into a creative decision-making process and what new angles they should be launching in order to improve the performance of your ad account. So that is pretty much already it. Those are the 3 roles that a data-driven creative team consists of, right? This is the media buying role, the creative strategist role, as well as the production role, right? With that being said, you might be about to actually close that video down and think like, hey, I don't have 15,000 euros just laying around per month to spend on, 3 new hires in order to have my paid social properly set up. Well, you don't have to, because each of those roles can also be outsourced for, like little money, I would say, right? Talking about the production team, right? You can outsource your production pretty much to content creators for probably, somewhere around 1,000 euros per month, and you can get a good pipeline of content already, right? Talking about media buyers, right? You don't need to have a full-time media buyer on your team if you're not only managing around 15 to 20,000 euros per month in spend, right? You can go ahead and actually hire an agency, right? Same goes for the creative strategist. However, that in my opinion is the most difficult to outsource, because this person needs to have a proper understanding not only of your brand and what your product is all all about and your consumer is all about, but also how kind of media buying and creative testing and just generally kind of consumer journey fits together. So honestly, might be a role that you want to have in-house, or not necessarily in-house, but you kind of don't want to outsource that for cheap money. But apart from that, you can kind of really plug those things together. The only thing that is really important is that you have an iterative process that communicates with each other, right? I'm going to show you a graphic right here how this media buying team or this data-driven creative team should operate, right? They should communicate with each other. The media buyer is launching the tests of the different creatives, gives back the data to the creative strategist, who then goes ahead and provides and figures out different angles that might improve the performance and that he wants to see launched and tested, or she wants to see launched and tested within the ad account, and then briefs the creative post-production team or production team to get new assets and to shoot new assets, to then also edit them in Photoshop, After Effects, or generally the Adobe Creative Cloud. So now we've already been kind of talking about the workflow that a data-driven creative team has. And by the way, we're going to talk about this workflow right now. However, I wanted to mention that this is essentially also the exact same workflow that we use on a daily basis here in my agency, right? Because we usually, for each and every client, work on a pod structure, right? Apart from the media buying and actual campaign layout and campaign launching and scaling work, we obviously also have a creative team working on your account and providing a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time for all of our clients. And then usually your account manager / creative strategist is actually kind of fulfilling the role of a creative strategist and making sure that all the tests that we were launched in your ad account are then being learned from, and then he or she briefs also the post-production or the creative team and gets out to get new assets. Now, enough self-promotion, let's talk about the workflow, because ultimately, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe it's also just a really biased opinion, but I think it's pretty straightforward. And as I said, this is essentially how we approach every new client account. We go ahead, analyze their business, analyze, their maybe prior tests and creatives that were launched already, and take a look at their consumer, persona and how they behave and why they buy their product and purchase with that brand. Based on that information, we lay out a creative strategy, and if we have the budget, we go out and for our higher programs, right, that we have that as an additional service, go out and actually connect with content creators in order to produce UGC, as well as go ahead and have more content available in our creative arsenal. However, definitely, most likely, the brand has some kind of creative assets or photo shoots already in their brand files, in their brand folders, and then we can just sometimes also, or if they don't want to go out and create new content, we just create a strategy based on those brand assets that are already existing. So as soon as we have that creative strategy layout, when we have our brand assets, we go ahead, plug together the first creatives, and launch those ads and iterations and variations within the ad account. Those tests usually then go ahead and run for, I would say, anywhere between 2 to 5 days until we go ahead and actually have a performance analysis. We then analyze the different data points and results that this test gave us, and how we can go ahead and actually learn from those results and improve the overall performance of our ad account. Meaning, we go ahead and either cycle it into our prospecting campaign, or also this data-driven creative team cycles it in their core prospecting campaign, or most likely we go ahead, take the learnings from it, and actually iterate upon our winning ad concept and relaunch those iterations, and then have another performance analysis, right? And then we go ahead, take another, maybe completely different new ad concept, a new ad strategy, or maybe kind of re-strategize our ad winners, and go ahead and have this iterative and never-ending cycle of optimization from a creative as well as from a hardcore KPI standpoint. So this is pretty much it, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to implement your paid social marketing if you're really serious about growing and scaling a new customer acquisition, right? Obviously, you could bring this in-house. This will be a pretty high payroll, especially for younger companies. You could have this, or a founder, could, for example, go into, or CMO could go into the creative strategy role, or the head of performance could go into the strategy role if you have this type of role already existing into your company. And you could outsource, kind of the production as well as the creative editing part. That is a really common way. Or for example, you could also hire an agency just like Victory Media. This is what we do on a daily basis. We know the ins and outs of a data-driven creative team. We know the most common hurdles that we have to overcome for most of the e-commerce brands that we work with, and we are already a drilled team that is in that pod structure and always moves from client to client as a little task force to implement, this and come up with a creative strategy, start launching and testing those creative concepts within the ad account. And then we have obviously our creative team that then is being briefed by our account manager / creative strategist to then kind of have a consistent and iterative workflow of new and good creatives that then always also actually have a purpose to it, right? I see it so often that just a media buyer takes just a general image that he's being given by some kind of marketer that doesn't even really know what this paid performance channel is all about, right? They're maybe in the SEO game, they're just generally kind of maybe even interning as their content manager or whatsoever, and they don't really understand the ins and outs of, okay, how does this platform work, right? How do media buying principles work? And this is kind of what we solve with our service here at Victory Media. We go ahead and our creative team members have a good overview of what is happening within the platform. Obviously, our media buyers know what is happening on the platform, and the creative strategist is pretty much the person and the captain of the ship that is steering this whole process. So with that being said, if you want to know more about how we could maybe implement that type of process and add a data-driven creative team to your company, then feel free to scroll down below to the first link in the description and schedule in completely free 30-minute discovery call with me personally, and we can just chit chat, have a quick internet coffee, and talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and if we might be a good fit. Either way, thank you for watching the video. I hope that this was some helpful content. I really appreciate your time. If you like the content, then maybe like this video right below this video, or hit the subscribe button for this channel in order to stay up to date with the most common Facebook ad trends and how to grow your e-commerce brand profitably. Either way, it was a pleasure, right? Going ahead and recording this video for you. I hope I'll see you in the next one next Thursday, and keep growing. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. I know that if you've come this far, that you form a part of an exclusive group of people that do not only talk, but walk the talk, and that you are hungry for more content. So therefore, I went ahead and picked out an exclusive video just for you that I know you're going to love. Check it out right here.